Good evening and welcome to the November 8th, 2017 Disability Advisory Commission meeting. We will call this meeting to order. Roll call. Commissioner Herzog is absent. Commissioner Vanderlinger.
Here.
Commissioner Moore.
Present.
Commissioner Chandler.
Here.
And Commissioner Monahan.
Present.
And I am Commissioner Brenda Renault. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Current events and staff reports. So, Commissioner Vanderlanger.
I have nothing to report.
Commissioner Moore.
I have nothing to report.
I do not have anything to report. Commissioner Chandler.
I don't have anything to report.
Commissioner Monahan.
Nothing here.
Okay. We will open the call to the public. Do we have any members in the audience who would like to speak to the commission? Going once? Okay. We will close the call to the public. Consent agendas. So, our agenda items. Number 1 is discussion and action pertaining to approval of the Disability Advisory Commission September 13th, 2017 meeting minutes. I did not get a chance to look those over. Did anybody find any errors?
Vice Chairman, I would like to make a motion we accept the minutes as published.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay. We will accept the meeting minutes. Number 2, Joshua Mike, Arts and Culture Master Plan with the City of Surprise. Possibly joining on projects and items within the city. Welcome.
Good evening, Madam.
Madam Chair, point of order. I'm not. Are you guys getting anything on the screen yet?
No.
Okay.
No,
We're flying under the radar.
Okay.
we're flying blind.
Okay. Just wondering. And I'm not.
Hopefully the audience isn't blind as well.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Joshua Mike. I'm with Community Development Department. I'm here on behalf of the Arts and Cultural Advisory Commission and Community Development to talk a little bit about, tell you and the Commission about an upcoming project that we're in the middle of working on, which is an arts and culture master plan. There's an opportunity here to explore what this plan can do for other commissions, other aspects, and bring this tool to help other commissions and departments succeed in their goals and objectives. And as part of that, breaking down the silos between the different commissions, this is a chance for us to inform the Disability Advisory Commission of what's going on in a different aspect of the community and within the city, and look for some feedback and opportunities in the future. There's not much to the presentation. It's just a few bullet points. So you're don't worry that you're not missing anything here. It's just some talking points for
See it
for
around
my
the corner there.
for my own benefit to stay on topic. The Arts and Culture Master Plan is basically a visioning effort. It's a strategic document that's going to set the standard for the Arts and Culture Advisory Commission and other departments to determine how public art, cultural events, festivities, music venues are developed and implemented over the future. We're really trying to put something together that will better express the unique and artistic vitality within the city here. It's something the Arts and Culture Advisory Commission has been doing for years, but they're really at a crossroads of how to take the next step forward within this world, within this realm and possibilities to take that to the community and really make Surprise someplace special when it comes to arts and culture. We really wanted to take this beyond just a public art master plan, which is something that's very common within communities, and that just focuses on the visual arts of sculptures and murals and what have you. But something like this, where Surprise wants to go and what we've already accomplished, it's beyond just public art and visual art. It's going to set forward a document that we as planners in the community development department can bring to future developers and say, if you're bringing us a project, we have something written down, something tangible of what we want to see visually as you continue to express or create open space within your project or within a subdivision. It's something that when we have funds or trying to go out for grants, we've got the support of a document that tells a grant writer or a grant reviewer that we're truly committed to what it is that we're trying to accomplish when it comes to a project. This type of undertaking, this master plan, is a grand feat that we're trying to accomplish. We're really trying to characterize the sense of place and communicate our direction from what the community is wanting so that we move forward, and that it's a document that is going to live through the ebbs and flows of leadership, the ebbs and flows of the different commissions, because it's going to be a voice of the community at this point. Staff has been working with our consultant to put this together. Our timeline up until this point, we started it back in February. We chose an 18-month timeline for this project to make sure that we had an all-inclusive outreach program through this. So we started with working with city council, meeting with leaders within the city here to see what is feasible, what accomplishments, where they've seen the arts and culture come from this point forward and where they would like to see it go in the future. Started to use that information to figure out a proper survey, kind of a fill in the blank, so that we could communicate with stakeholders and put together a stakeholder list that we reached out in June and held a series of roundtable discussions with the professionals in the industry, those that run organizations, that have businesses, that are art advocates and artists in the community here that are already active. And we look to them to say, what are our strengths that we have? What assets does Surprise already bring to the table? And what are some of the challenges that we need to overcome? And what are some of your suggestions on how we overcome them? Also, what are some of the things that are around the community in the West Valley that maybe we shouldn't compete with? The glaring obvious one is the large stadiums. We've already got Glendale that has those two large stadiums. We don't need to compete at that level. We have our stadium, which is perfect for the type of intimate setting we want for festivals, and we've got the spring training aspect. So maybe we don't need something larger than that, because regionally that draw is already close by. So that's an example of suggestions that said, don't worry about that. Concentrate your energy elsewhere so that you can be truly effective. Understanding what the professionals wanted, we needed the third peg to that stool. We knew what the city council and the city leaders wanted. We know what the professionals want out there. Now we needed, this last October, we held Art Week to go out to the community, to go out to the public and say, will you go support these things if we build them? Will you go attend these events if we hold them? Will you support and go visit these art pieces if we put them out there? Would you contribute to a community art project if we held one that brought the community together? And that was what October was all about. And that's where we're at in this part of the process. We just closed the most recent survey. that gave our consultant that confirmation, that knowledge, that understanding of confirming where we have gone to up until this point of getting information. And it was refreshing to hear that the community has been right in line and confirming what we've learned from the professionals and what we've confirmed from city council and other city leaders here. So at this point now, some of the events that we were able to attend, if you saw any of them during the middle of October, we went to the Fiesta Ground. That was the start of our project, and that was really our kickoff. And with as great of a job as the Parks and Rec Department does, the CRS, it was a great exposure to this, and we got a lot of feedback during that one event specifically, and that was the beginning of our community art piece. We put together a string art piece that went from event to event during this week and has now displayed here in City Hall by the lobby against the north door. So if you get a chance going through the lobby, go take a look at that. It's an amazing piece. We had over 200 participants over this week, which was kind of a microcosm of the participants that contributed to the surveys and had discussions and meetings with staff and the consultant and the Arts Commission. The Arts Commission held a public art bus tour, hosted a poetry slam, and partnered with the library to do a technology and art fair, which were some great events that were put in. We even hosted 2 community outreach programs as a team for specifically this master plan event, and we got good feedback from social media that the people that did attend that outreach event came because of our social media efforts. And it was able to tell us that we're moving in the right direction, that there's a lot of support for this community to take that next step. Some of the comments that we'd heard up until this point, that arts and culture has an opportunity to play a generational role here in the city of Surprise. While many people moved here for other reasons, when it comes to community accessibility, friendly, clean neighborhoods, the reason their kids are going to stay here are because of those cultural aspects that this city can build in the future. As being a young city, this is our opportunity to take that step forward with that. So what I'm here for tonight, that as we're moving forward with this project, the next stage of the project is the writing of the plan. And we're just beginning that with our consultant, who will be drafting using all of that aggregate data, that summarization, those notes from those various meetings that we've had, to learn from this commission if there's anything that an arts and culture aspect, community inclusion, opportunity to be active, that this plan could help this commission be successful in their goals. So I've got 3 basic questions: is how can this plan help the commission implement their directives? How can public art engagements, cultural events be integrated into this commission's strategies? And how would this commission like to coordinate future efforts with the Arts and Cultural Advisory Commission? On that note, there has been a request by both the Tourism Commission and the Community and Recreation Services Commission to do a joint meeting to work on creating that sense of place, because all 3 commissions have been doing slightly different things. But if we really break down those silos and truly work together with this and getting staff on board, and we're all on that same team aspect, there's an opportunity there. So the Arts and Cultural Advisory Commission has asked me to bring that message forward to this group and be open to any suggestions, advice, or requests that we can put into the plan as we're currently drafting.
Wow.
I don't have any questions. Do you have questions?
I think we all need a little time to digest what you presented to us.
Sure.
And see how it impacts this commission. One of the things that's kind of got us tied is that quite a few of us are new to the commission, and others with more experience have moved on. When you talk about getting together with other commissions, as a point of order, how does that go about?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, typically what happens is that the commission would take action. Right now, there's a motion made by the Arts and Culture Advisory Commission to request from City Council to approve a joint meeting. That's the general process for it. If that's something that this commission is amenable to, I can bring that to the Arts and Cultural Advisory Commission, and we can either request that this commission be added to that list, so it would be one large meeting. Scheduling logistics may be difficult, but there's always opportunity there. Or you could hold a separate meeting with just those two commissions to discuss opportunities. Seeing some of the natural blends between what the two strategies and two goals of the different commissions come together, I would see personally the opportunity with engagement. One of the things that a private organization within the city, WHAM, does is PTSD arts programming. So they hold free classes through donations to allow PTSD patients to come to that facility, their facility on Dice Art here in Surprise, create art, even participate in a full gallery showing at the end of a series. So there's opportunities there that are very similar to, I could see strategies with this group trying to reach out and provide services and accessibility to those with disabilities. And one of those ways would be through the efforts of the Arts Commission. So
Yes, I agree. And perhaps we're offline, but one of the things I can see is bringing some of this to the people who can't get out, that are less mobile, so they can still enjoy what Surprise has to offer. So I think a joint meeting would be
Yes,
um,
appropriate.
very appropriate, and on the larger scale with everyone involved.
Can I ask you again, who are the other two commissions that you were going to get together?
the other two commissions that are currently being requested for that joint meeting are the CRS Commission and the Tourism Commission.
Thanks for coming, Josh. It's a good opportunity, I think, for this commission. I guess just to reiterate, I think there's opportunity for us to engage in this process in a couple ways. I do think we ought to proceed and try to meet jointly with the three commissions, excuse me. And also, if there are opportunities throughout the process for reviewing language as the master plan develops, I think there's a couple important areas. One is maximizing participation, either in terms of making sure or ensuring there's language so that the citizenry can access interpreter and maybe find better ways and marketing better ways to maximize participation. And I think making sure that transportation is addressed somehow through at every event or every activity or every part of the process. And I think that's a big barrier for people with disabilities to engage and to participate. And yeah, so I think it's a good idea for us to get involved in any way we can. So in those two ways, kind of opportunity to review whether it's boilerplate language or and provide input there, but then as part of the joint meeting, making sure that we can advocate for interpreters, transportation, and just opportunities to participate, whether it be performance art or events or whatever the case might be. Yeah.
There's another aspect to this too. If you're going to have public events, we would be very interested in participating, having a table, because we have not had a whole lot of public exposure, especially like the last year. We have had tables at other events in the past where we can give out literature and inform the public about the services of the Disability Advisory Commission. So that's another aspect of it that we could explore, us participating as a commission with your events.
I'd like to add that it sounds like a really fun project. Sounds like a great project. And I can see the senior center. And I've worked with WHAM, they're wonderful, and they want to work with everybody. I can see classes of students that are disabled who would be thrilled to be participating in something like this too. There's a lot of different groups that we could connect, touch for this project. It really is pretty cool.
I'm glad to see the city doing this. I'm a native to the Valley And one of the things I hear from people that come from everywhere else is that we are really lacking in the arts and cultures. Um, I always combat some of that with, well, we're a much younger city and state than, say, Chicago and Philadelphia. So I kind of get a little upset about it, but they're right. We don't have near the level that other cities of our size have. So I applaud the city and the commission for what they're doing.
Is there any outline or initial or preliminary documentation on what a master plan might look like, or is it still in the beginning stages?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, at this point, it is very preliminary. We just closed the public input section of our timeline. So the consultant will be drafting that plan, putting together. They have an outline format, but hasn't necessarily shared it with us yet, because as they've been tweaking that outline, they didn't want to get the cart before the horse when it came to public engagement, making sure that the public input was as inclusive as possible before we started drafting anything, because we didn't want to put any one preconceived notion ahead of confirming that all three pegs to that stool were in alignment in that sort of Venn diagram. With that being said, the timeline right now, the first public draft will be available in January. We'll be making a presentation to City Council at a work session so that the council members are fully aware of what's about to go public, so that they can help be champions of this project, as they've all been extremely supportive of this up until this point, and we anticipate continued support. But we want them to be informed so that as members of the community that reach out to them at a regular basis that may not know that they can come to me or other members of staff, that they're informed on that. And at that time, that's when the public draft will be distributed to the stakeholders, put out on the website, and made available here at City Hall for anybody that wants to start reading through that version of it. And there'll be an open invitation to attend some roundtable discussions, to really nitpick on it, take the red pen to it, chalk up on it as much as possible to let us know what we missed. We've gained some great ground with that model, with the sign package, or with the sign up code update that we've recently gone through. There were some significant points of perspective that, while you're sitting at your desk writing a couple of versions of it of a few people, you might not get that real life exposure from someone who's out there in the weeds doing it. And that type of model has been successful enough to making sure that we're addressing all of those factors. And so in January, we'll be holding that first roundtable set of discussions over a series of days towards the end of January to ensure that the public does have an opportunity to read it, mark it up, have an open discussion. There will be an opportunity and invitations for anybody that's maybe doesn't want to go to those meetings or doesn't feel comfortable in a public speaking setting and expressing their opinions of what we got wrong, what we got right, what we think we should add, to send those comments right to me or the consultant, so that we can make sure that they're included and they're a part of the next renditions if necessary, if they're appropriate and feasible. So we want to make sure that that's available, and that'll be happening in January. Then we'll go through another rendition or two, with the end goal being June, that this plan would be adopted by City Council. But there will be an opportunity during May, either April or May, that we would bring back the final version that has those renditions, kind of a more polished final version, to this commission, to let an update know of all the great work that's been done up until this point, so that there's an opportunity to see it before it goes to City Council.
Nice, thank you.
Wow. Are there any other questions?
No, super.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming. And please keep us updated. Let's see. So, future agenda items. Commissioner Vanderleer, do you have anything you would like
I do
added?
not.
Okay. Commissioner Moore?
Yeah, I'd like to see us get back to our above and beyond, and where again, I'm not aware of point of order or how things work. And is there an opportunity for us to meet offline to discuss what this commission's doing and where it's going? And,
We can't meet in a quorum.
okay, but,
We,
well,
we could schedule in as part of a regular agenda item discussion of subcommittee goals, future goals, or whether we want to engage a strategic planner to help us. Any of that can be scheduled into a regular meeting as long as it's posted. Yeah.
I think we need to, I
Excellent
think we
idea.
need to do that. I, I'm not real comfortable with where we're moving
Mhm.
right now.
Okay.
And perhaps with new leadership and new people on the commission, maybe it's time to evaluate what we're doing and where we're going and how we become an asset to the city and not just people who meet once a month.
Yeah.
So if we can put that on the agenda, I would appreciate that.
I've got a question for staff. Michelle, is there someone in the city clerk's office or some other department that is trained in sort of facilitating some planning and, has that aspect of training that we could actually use as whether it's 20 minutes or whatever, as part of a regular agenda item to help us move forward?
I'll find out.
Okay, I think we probably need that. I mean, I think we're all kind of new. It would be nice to have a trained professional help us target the discussion a little bit.
Well,
I've
and,
actually asked that question as well, and some other things that we're doing when we don't
Um,
have a meeting, and so.
Councilman Winters was on this at one point.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice if we could get him in to give us input on what they were doing in the past that we're not focusing on. And some of the, just give us some advice and some feedback. That's all I have.
Commissioner Chandler?
So I would say the sooner the better too. So if that can be something on the next, on the agenda for the next meeting, that would be wonderful. And I had asked about going to do kind of a tour at West Mech to see, and so I don't know where we are on that.
Next month.
Next month? Oh, thank you.
We've kind of put Julia Anderson off for a few months. Is she?
No, she couldn't make it today because last month we had to cancel.
Right, but I
So,
mean,
but
I think I thought I saw an email, she's okay for next month though, right?
she didn't send that to me, so if that's the I'll confirm with her.
Okay,
I was wondering, I didn't
I
know.
could be wrong. I got that impression somewhere and I'm not sure. She was ready to come and then it didn't work out and yeah,
Correct.
okay.
Okay, I'll confirm.
Anything else?
Just that, I was gonna mention that, Julie Anderson from West Mech. And I guess I just had also a point of order on the agenda. I noticed we didn't list discussion of future agenda items. I suppose technically it should. Not anywhere on there. Could make a case for discussing it under other business, I suppose, but I think it's supposed to be included. Always has been in the past.
I'm not sure why.
Yeah. Maybe maybe it wasn't on a template or something, but I noticed in past agendas it's on there.
It should be on there. Okay.
Chair Renaud, one other item, we were going to discuss the city's dial-a-ride program. I thought we were gonna have a representative show up or something and give us.
That was another item that we had for future.
Yeah, because it's a big concern. I'm getting a lot of people
Right.
talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think that's another thing, looking through our minutes, we have a number or a handful of future agenda items, and that'd be one thing that we need to figure out some organization and how those appear
Yes.
or disappear, which we don't want to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
And I thought we were going to ask maybe David Colbeck to come and speak from the city. about the Dial-A-Ride program.
We need to be clear then, because whatever we need to ask, because the last month really just shifted, I think, a lot of people, because you have to remember, we had a lot in place for today,
Yeah.
or for last month, and then
Right.
things got shifted,
Mhm.
and Dave Colback is extremely busy. I did talk to him about Dial-A-Ride. He is on the project. He is very much aware, and it's not going unnoticed. He's handling it.
Okay.
So, but whatever we need today, I kind of figured this might go this way because we missed last month. So whatever we want, this is how you were saying to be organized so we can get people back on track.
Yeah.
I know what you tell me. So whatever you want, I'll make happen.
You're doing a good job, and
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there any other business that needs to be discussed?
Do we need to move forward or on a chair or give them some time?
They're working on it. I let, because I just found out not far
Right.
before right now.
Well-
So I let Sherry know, and she said tomorrow we have to discuss it with our attorneys and things like that and figure out how to post it and what we do next. If that's you, I don't know, but she's going to get back to me. It was so late in the day, nobody really had time to wrap it around and
Do
get back to me.
do you know offhand, Michelle, if there are any current open applications for a vacancy on this commission?
I think that's what she was going
Oh,
to get back to me
I see.
tomorrow. Yes, she
Okay.
had to look into it some more.
I don't believe the audience knows what we're talking about. So Chair Poshner has stepped down from the commission. And that's what we were discussing. So, there will be openings. If anybody's interested in joining the commission, contact the City of Surprise. All right. If there's no further business, we can have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a second. Any, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay. Well, thank you for joining us for the November 8th, 2017 Disability Advisory Commission meeting. We will now adjourn.